In the path of mastery, whether in martial arts, business, creativity, or life itself, there comes a point when technique, tools, and applause fall away. What remains is a clear mind, a settled spirit, and the ability to perceive the unseen. In Musashi's last scroll, The Void, he points beyond form and method to a state of awareness where the self dissolves, obstacles fade, and one acts naturally. From this emerges three masteries: mastery of self-awareness, mastery of flow, and mastery of nothingness. These guide us to see beyond the self and step into a deeper level of being. The first step is turning inward. Musashi writes, "By knowing things that exist, you can know that which does not exist." On the surface, this suggests that we must learn the familiar, our techniques, habits, visible obstacles, so that we can then glimpse the hidden, the biases, unseen assumptions, the void behind existence. In practical terms, self-awareness means becoming intimately familiar with your strengths and limits. It means watching patterns, how we react under pressure, where our mind wanders, how we define success or failure. Musashi, a swordsman who fought dozens of duels, knew that victory often depended less on swing or steel and more on clarity of mind. To cultivate this mastery, reflect daily on where you acted from impulse versus purpose. Observe your inner dialogue and notice when ego takes over. Map your triggers. In conflict, what assumptions hide beneath? In creation, what preconceptions restrict you? As self-awareness sharpens, you begin to see not just what is happening, but why. And when why becomes clear, you open the door to the next mastery. The second mastery is stepping beyond conscious struggle into fluid responsiveness. Musashi describes a mind not in the least clouded, where, when your spirit is not in the least clouded, when the clouds of bewilderment clear away, there is the true void. Once you have knowledge, practice, and self-awareness, you no longer think about each move. You just move. The action flows from your training and presence. In modern terms, this is often called the flow state or being in the zone. But here, it's more than performance, it's action without ego. The doer becomes the deed. For Musashi, as the duel begins, the mind quiets, and the sword finds its mark through clarity and timing. For you, whether you're writing, leading, creating, or solving problems, the goal is to act from presence, not anxiety or overthinking. To build flow, train fundamentals until they're second nature. Embrace mistakes, since flow often appears when you're not afraid of error but open to what is. Create rituals to quiet the mind before action, breathe deeply, pause, and focus on the next small step rather than the outcome. When flow becomes natural, you find yourself less doing and more being, and that leads into the final mastery. The last mastery is the most subtle and profound. Musashi writes, "What is called the spirit of the void is where there is nothing. It is not included in man's knowledge." He also says, "In the void is virtue, and no evil. Wisdom has existence, principle has existence, the way has existence, spirit is nothingness." Here Musashi turns away from technique and even from the conscious self. The void is not emptiness of being, but emptiness of barriers. The self dissolves, dualities fade, good and evil, success and failure, and one remains in pure awareness, acting naturally. In daily life, this looks like a manager making the right call not out of ego but out of clear perception. An artist creating not for validation but because the work asks to be made. A person meeting crisis with calm because the mind is free of fixed agenda. To cultivate nothingness, practice letting go of outcomes. Do the work, offer it, and release your attachment to how it's received. Drop comparison and judgment. When you stop measuring yourself against others, you free your attention to simply see. Silence the internal narrative, the what if, should have, must do. Observe it, but don't believe it. Living in the void doesn't make you passive or indifferent. It makes you more alive, more responsive, more connected. The absence of fear, ego, and separation becomes the ground for action. Imagine leading a team through a critical project. You notice your tendency to micromanage and set an intention to delegate and trust. You clarify roles, give autonomy, and respond calmly when problems arise. You accept that not everything is in your control, staying centered amid chaos. Or imagine being an artist stuck in a creative block. You see that fear of judgment is the obstacle. You return to your craft daily until your skill flows naturally. Then you create without expectation, allowing whatever emerges. You stop asking, "Is this good?" and start asking, "Is this honest?" These three levels, awareness, flow, void, build on one another. Once you remove the self as center, not abandoning identity but loosening its grip, you shift from reacting to responding, from performing to being. Musashi's lesson is not about winning duels but mastering life's constant battles: doubt, ego, distraction, attachment. He teaches not just how to wield a sword but how to live with clarity, calm, and purpose. When you see beyond the self, you notice what others miss. You act from presence, not autopilot. You realize the greatest obstacle is often yourself, and once that's mastered, any field becomes accessible. The scroll of the void is short in words but vast in meaning. Its three masteries, self-awareness, flow, nothingness, are not steps to complete but layers that unfold together. You train the body and mind, internalize your craft until it flows, and finally allow structure to dissolve into openness, where true action emerges. Whether you wield a sword, build a business, paint, or simply live, Musashi's wisdom invites you to go beyond doing, beyond ego, beyond result. He invites you to stand in the void where the real way reveals itself. And when you can live from that place, you don't just see beyond the self, you become the selfless clarity you sought all along.